What's cracking, guys? Samuel607 here, throwing at you this week's episode of Manga Mondays. And today, I'm finally going to get the chance to talk about something I've been wanting to make a video about for a very long time, ever since it came out earlier today. So, what we're going to be looking at, as you may have seen from the title and or thumbnail, I never know what I'm going to do with either of those. Today's manga of choice is Azazel. Well, I believe it's Korean, I haven't confirmed, so that would make it a manhwa, but yeah, it's a webtoon which just came out today on the platform Webtoon, where you can read all of the chapters currently out for free. It is a fantasy webtoon by the author Usayasai. I'm sorry, I have no idea how to pronounce that, but it will be on screen. I should stop saying I'll put things on screen, that makes the editing harder for me. So, what I've surmised so far. The story doesn't seem awfully complicated. It's a pretty straightforward tale about humans versus demons. In this case, the demons are referred to as the Fallen. They occupy the Barrens, which are a desolate, dry land where not a blade of grass could grow, and all of this surrounds what is the humans' empire. I don't believe we've gotten a name for the empire yet. Heck, we've barely got names for most of the cast in the opening 3 chapters. But it does seem like there's room for a special take on this story. That is because the first chapter kicks off with our General Mu-Ryang bringing in the captured king of the Fallen, Azazel. Okay, I know I call the manga Aza, but I'm so much more used to saying Azazel, so they will not correspond, and you'll have to live with it. So, but before we get there, the story seems to be, humans versus demons. Empire uses the demons' bodies, their horns especially, as resources which provide energy. And these horns, I feel, actually add to the aesthetic in a pretty neat way. Beyond giving us something which distinguishes the humans and the Fallen, it actually makes the Fallen look pretty cool. I mean, I'm just saying. Although the stories that have been spread around and told from generation to generation about the Fallen paint them as sinners sent out into the Barrens for punishment, marked with horns and black eyes, and oh god, the black eyes are pretty. Outside of that, point I was making. Oh wait, no, I mean my script says I should have said that there. Yeah, art is pretty, story is straightforward, and now we move on to the characters. Yes, the hesitation fillers were in the script as well, ha 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 ha. So, what I want to talk about first is going to be General Mu-Ryang. He is presumably, from what I can tell thus far, the main character of this series. He's one who I think will be especially interesting going forward, actually. That's not something I usually claim so early on in a story, but his naivete makes him unique. He is the eldest son of the kingdom's most influential family, and he's a newly appointed general who's just returned from his first expedition, where he actually managed to bring in quite the haul and raise the flag of victory. So you see, I call him naive not because he's arrogant. I'll get to another character with regards to that later. Nor because he's ignorant of the ways of the world. I call him naive because he's ignorant to the ways of people. He can't tell when he's being mistreated, and he's one of those rare kind that tries to understand the Fallen. He apologizes when he fights against them, even though all he's been taught is that they're uncaring, unfeeling demons, and he tries to treat every living creature he encounters as he would a human being. Everything's deserving of respect to him, and this leaves him open to manipulation. It makes him fall victim to slander and mistreatment by the crown prince, who takes advantage of his naivete, and it leads to him being someone who not many people can take seriously. I find this interesting because I feel like later on in the story this is something which is going to be addressed, and a key point which will serve as a platform for his upcoming development. And going on from this, the next character I'd like to talk about, who seems to be one of the big three early on, is the Crown Prince himself. He is, I'm going to assume, child to the emperor of this empire, and he likes to stick his nose where it does not belong. He as well is naive, but in a different way than General Mu-Ryang. You see, the Crown Prince knows of the ways of people and of interactions, but knows not of the ways of the world itself. He claims that the fallen are nothing special outside of their improved strength. He thinks they're mere beasts and animals who can be tamed easily, and views them as not much of a risk to the Empire, despite their documented powers and the fact that their bodies are so profound you could gain energy from them. You see, being raised in the center of the Empire has made him safe and has placed him far away from any conflict with the Fallen which the Empire has experienced during his lifetime. He does not understand what the people living in the border regions have had to experience, and thus views them as a small threat, leading to him mistreating and provoking demons as an ignorant child would be poking a tiger in its den or some such. So, we see early on he doesn't like Mu-Ryang very well, which Mu-Ryang is not able to determine, and I think that's because he is intimidated by him. Probably views him as some form of a rival who is liable to become more famous and renowned, more beloved by the kingdom than he is. So he's quick to yell, he's quick to the rod, he seems like the violent type from what I've garnered early on. And the third member of the big three is Azazel himself, the king of the demons. Stories are told of how you should flee and evade this man, but he seems to be a delicate boy when they first discover him, making that, well, another interesting point. So, because of his appearance, that's another front on which the Crown Prince seeks to diminish what is the threat of the Fallen. And as far as the art's concerned, I like the way it helps his portrayal. It makes him seem an elegant king. While chained, he seems still to be living large and in charge. He cannot be bound easily or restricted by anyone. He also, unlike the other two, seems to be the sole individual who seems to be a main character, that is aware of the ways of the world and of the ways of people, and this makes him seem like he would be a major threat because he can exploit the weaknesses of both of the main human characters and can pit them against one another easily, taking advantage of their shortcomings. So I believe that's something which is going to make this interesting going forward, because the main trio is dynamic and there's a lot of room for character development. We might see alliances and friendships being formed among people we wouldn't expect them to be formed between, pitting them against each other potentially. I don't think this story will be super long running, simply because the way the plot has been structured, well, the titular character, Azazel, is all it's been named after, so I assume it's going to have to do with the shenanigans he causes, but I don't see how they could draw this out for hundreds of chapters unless they potentially introduced a third major geopolitical entity, something for them to potentially band together against. Because if we already have Mu-Ryang and the Crown Prince, who are the heads of the human faction, and Azazel, who's the head of the demon faction, encountering each other this early, it seems their struggles and conflicts would be resolved before long. It would be straightforward, a wrench thrown into it. Even if you involve betrayals and some such, I really don't see how this could be maintained very long, so I don't think it's going to be a very long-running series on that account, unless its quality just dwindles off at some point and it's continued just for monetary reasons. Beyond that, yeah, I just think it's gonna be the story's just gonna be spurred by changes which are brought about due to Azazel's presence in the Empire. And the next thing my script says I should talk about is whether or not I would recommend this to people. That's usually where this comes in my anime and manga videos, yeah. I mean, I guess. You see, there isn't much for me to go on, or an overarching story I've been able to experience very well. So I wouldn't say it's something on the level of the other things I've made videos on, like Actage or JoJo's, One Piece, or Ranking of Kings. I've actually finished and uploaded that video, which will be released at 3 AM Eastern on Wednesday. That's 8 AM GMT, midnight Pacific. Any Wednesday is a go. But yeah, beyond those, it isn't something I've had enough of that I can say with certainty you will enjoy, but then on the other hand, there are only 3 chapters and it wouldn't be much of an investment. So, back to I guess. As an opening to a story, since I don't have the story itself to critique, I believe I'll give it an 8 out of 10. Believe it or not, it has been a good enough opening for me to be curious and want to read more and figure out what goes on in the future, where the story goes. I'm interested in all of that, and I think some of you might be as well, so there's that. Sorry for the low budget videos this week, the Ranking of Kings one. I will admit I edited lazily. This one I likely will as well. But yeah, you know, I've had time constraints. I had to spend the last week catching up to work, which is actually what I should be doing right now, and I'm realizing I got so invested in recording this video, I've been ignoring the background noises from this house around me. I actually had to leave the building to record somewhere separately because, oh god, those animals from the neighbor's house and nature frustrate me deeply. Now, that was all off topic, but I guess all I'm trying to say is follow me on Patreon. I don't have a script. I mean, the script says I should segue naturally into that, you see, so with a joke, of course. If you want me to make more videos and want them to be at a higher quality, please follow me on Patreon. I don't think follow is the right word. Please, is it subscribe? Become one of my patrons to ensure that more videos can come out more frequently and higher quality. If you liked the video, like the video. Dislike the video if you disliked the video, and leave a comment down below on why, for the criticism helps me grow. I can't speak today. I'm still only doing this in one recording. I'm not going back for any of that. Where was I? Subscribe if you and hit the notification bell if you wish to be notified about future uploads. And yeah, that's it for today. See ya, folks. Samyx607 logging out.